The F-CK-1 Ching-Kuo is one of the essential elements of the Republic of China's defense. The current crisis between this country, commonly known as Taiwan, and the People's Republic of China is making its job more challenging than ever. This multi-role fighter has to deter the mighty and vigorous dragons of the People's Liberation Army Air Force, shortly PLAAF. As the weapon detective, we are now investigating the F-CK-1, the indigenous defender of Taiwan's sky. The F-CK-1 Ching-Kuo, aka the Indigenous Defense Fighter, or IDF for short, is an intriguing combat jet with its story and the challenges it has to face. At first glance, this aircraft symbolizes the rise of the Taiwanese aerospace industry. But also, the F-CK-1 represents the top point of this venture, and later we witness a decline. To better understand this contradiction, let's look at the history and features first. After Mao Zedong's forces gained total control over mainland China, the US continued to recognize Taiwan as a legitimate government of China. This situation began to change with Nixon's visit to Beijing in 1972. 7 years later, the USA recognized the People's Republic of China as the sole legitimate government of China and terminated the Mutual Defense Treaty with Taiwan. The Taiwanese Air Force, officially the Republic of China Air Force, shortly ROCAF, had been requesting a new fighter with the capability of AIM-7 Sparrow medium-range air-to-air missiles for a while to replace its F-104s and F-5s. The Chinese pressure and the change in the US policy blocked a possible F-16 acquisition plan. So, Taiwan initiated the XF-6 Indigenous Fighter project in the late 1970s. In 1980, Taiwanese President Chiang Ching-kuo tasked the local Aerospace Industrial Development Corporation Company, aka AIDC, to continue the program. The Taiwanese aerospace industry, which had worked on the AT-3 jet trainer since 1975 and produced the F-5E under license, had already reached a certain level. While the study phase for a new combat aircraft continued, Ronald Reagan became the president and the export restrictions were slowly eased. Thus, the USA offered the F-20 Tiger Shark to Taiwan. Also, a possible acquisition of the Israeli Kfir was on the agenda. After a careful evaluation, Taiwan found both the F-20 and the Kfir insufficient to meet the ROCAF's requirements. Also, the waving US policy was not trustable. So, Taipei decided to move on with its indigenous fighter program. But designing a fourth-generation fighter was not a simple job. Thankfully, in 1982, Reagan declared the 6 assurances to Taiwan, which allowed a limited US technology transfer to this country. Thus, the AIDC officially began the Indigenous Fighter Development Program in the same year. The entire collective project, called Angxiang, meaning Safe Flight, had 4 sub-projects with individual names. The Yin-Yang, which means Soaring Eagle in English, was the airframe design project executed in cooperation with General Dynamics. The Tianlei, meaning Sky Thunder, was the development program of the avionics systems. Many US companies, such as Smiths Industries, Lear Astronics, Litton, and Martin Baker, participated in this sub-project. Taiwan carried out its indigenous fighter program in parallel with an indigenous air-to-air missile development sub-project called Tien Chien, meaning Sky Sword. The most tricky sub-project was Yuanhan, meaning Milky Way or Cloudman. It was about the development of the jet engine. The USA did not accept selling the General Electric F-404 of the FA-18 and the Pratt & Whitney F-100 of the F-16. Also, it refused to share the technology. So, the US Garrett Air Search and the Taiwanese AIDC formed a joint venture called International Turbine Engine Corporation, ITC for short, to develop a turbofan engine based on the civilian TFE-731. The fruit of this partnership was the F-125 GA-100, aka TFE-1042-70. ITEC also worked on the more powerful TFE-1088-12 variant, later redesignated as the TFE-1042-70A for political reasons. The preliminary studies showed that this engine would give the aircraft supercruise capability. But due to budget restrictions, the works on the TFE-1088-12 were terminated. In the mid-1980s, the PLAAF was interested in acquiring the Mirage 2000. So the Taiwanese engineers made some changes to the design by considering the F-CK-1's nemesis would be this delta-wing French fighter. Due to the 1989 Tiananmen incident, this sale never happened. In 1985, AIDC decided to skip the prototype stage and directly continue with the full-scale development phase to reduce time and save money. The F-CK-1 made its maiden flight on May 28, 1989. The production of the 10 pre-production aircraft began in 1990. AIDC delivered the first 4 in 1992 and the last 6 in 1993. The company delivered the first production variant of the F-CK-1 to the ROCAF in 1994. The aircraft reached squadron-level operational readiness in the same year. In 1995, the production of the F-CK-1 was halted due to some handicaps in the fuel management system. At that time, the company had already completed 51 aircraft. After the necessary corrections were made, production resumed in 1996. AIDC produced 137 F-CK-1, including the pre-production variants, until 1999. Initially, the ROCAF had planned to have 256 aircraft. But when the USA approved the sale of 150 F-16s and France's 60 Mirage 2000-5s, Taiwan reduced the number of the F-CK-1s. So, we may imagine that the PLAAF Mirage 2000s could have harmed the ROCAF F-CK-1s in dogfights in an alternative universe. Taiwan's own Mirage 2000s damaged the F-CK-1 program in this universe. Due to the enhanced capability of the PLAAF, the ROCAF demanded some improvements over the aircraft in the early 2000s. The aircraft initially had the single-seat A and twin-seat B variants. After the modernization, the F-CK-1 single-seat version is renamed as C and the twin-seat model as D. These variants can carry 4 Tien Chien II beyond visual range air-to-air missiles, whereas the A's and B's had only 2. The Tien Chien II C version, which is currently fitted on the aircraft, has 100 km range. The former missiles had only 60 km range. Also, the F-CK-1 can now launch anti-radar missiles. Thanks to updates, the radar of the C and D has gained terrain-following capability. The old displays have been replaced with 3 full-color multifunction ones. The fuselage structure and landing gears have been strengthened due to installing 2 771-liter rear conformal fuel tanks. The new F-CK-1 variants have updated internal navigation systems and advanced IFF equipment. The aircraft's landing distance has been reduced by 10%. The range has been increased by 20%. Currently, all F-CK-1s have been modernized to these standards. We may also mention the T5 Yǒngyīng Supersonic Advanced Jet Trainer as a variant of the F-CK-1. The ROCAF is planning to acquire 66 T5s to replace the AT-3s. The aircraft has the aluminum alloy fuselage and composite control surfaces, flaps, and air brakes. The design of the air intakes reduces the radar cross-section. The ejection seat is tilted 30 degrees, which can help the pilot withstand higher G-forces. The F-125 GA100 turbofan engine is modular. This design reduces maintenance costs and burdens and increases flexibility for future improvements. The flight cost per hour of the F-CK-1 is more than 1.5 times than the F-16, but it is nearly 1/3 of the Mirage 2000. The F-CK-1 is the only fighter of the ROCAF that can perform a scramble takeoff and interception within 5 minutes. The Tien Chien II missiles, which give the aircraft beyond visual range engagement capacity, are its essential weapon system in this mission. They are mounted under the center line of the fuselage as semi-buried. The X-band GD-53 Golden Dragon multi-mode pulse Doppler radar can detect an air target within a 5 square meter radar cross-section at a range of 148 kilometers. It can simultaneously track 10 targets and engage 2 of them. The radar has look-down, shoot-down capability. Thanks to the Hsiung Feng II anti-ship missiles, the aircraft can attack a surface target at 160 kilometers range. Its newer variant has a range of 250 kilometers. The F-CK-1 can carry 3 of these missiles at once. The latest C and D variants can launch the GPS-INS Tercom-guided Wan Chien air-to-ground cruise missile with a range of 200 to 240 kilometers. It can be effective against both land and naval targets. Taiwan is currently working on a new variant of this subsonic missile with a range of 400 kilometers. The F-CK-1 has a length of 14.21 meters, a wingspan of 9 meters, and a height of 4.42 meters. Its wing area is 24.2 square meters. The aircraft's empty weight is about 6,500 kilograms, while its maximum takeoff weight is about 9,000 kilograms. Two 42.1 kilonewton Honeywell IDC F125 GA100 turbofan engines provide a top speed of Mach 1.8. Its service ceiling is 16,800 meters, in other words 55,100 feet. The aircraft's range is 5,500 kilometers. The F-CK-1 has one 20mm 6-barreled M61A1 Gatling cannon. It can also carry the Tien Chien I, Tien Chien II, AIM-9 Sidewinder air-to-air, AGM-65 Maverick, Wan Chien air-to-surface, Hsiung Feng II anti-ship, and Tien Chien II anti-radar missiles and conventional bombs. Since day one, the F-CK-1s have successfully intercepted many Chinese aircraft such as H-6, Su-30s, and J-11. But the current situation is not in their favor. When the Taiwanese engineers began to design the F-CK-1, they considered the capabilities of the J-7s and J-8s first and added to a possible Mirage 2000 threat later. But today, the PLAAF is operating much more capable fighters such as the J-10 and J-20. Even with the latest modernization, the F-CK-1 is nothing but a 4th-generation combat aircraft. To restore balance, the ROCAF did not prefer new F-CK-1s but ordered new F-16s. But is it right to say the F-CK-1 is entirely useless? Not really. With its long-range air-to-air engagement and naval strike capabilities, this fighter still has crucial potential in a possible war. Also, we should remember that the ROCAF is training its pilots according to Western standards and tactics, which have repeatedly proved their efficiencies against the Eastern ones. If Taiwan is alone in a possible war, it cannot stand China's overwhelming numerical superiority for long. But the ROCAF has to hold on until the US cavalry arrives. After that, if China is still willing to fight, the result will probably be a nuclear Armageddon. In this scenario, the capabilities of the Taiwanese F-CK-1 or Chinese J-20 will be irrelevant. Why has any country other than Taiwan not preferred this aircraft? First, the Taiwanese have never seriously tried to sell the F-CK-1. In fact, there was no point in making such an effort. No one wanted to offend China by buying Taiwanese weapon systems in the 1990s and 2000s. Also, the USA, which helped during the design and development phase and provided many subsystems, would never allow AIDC to infiltrate the market of the US aviation companies. Moreover, even Taiwan stopped the production of the F-CK-1 when it was allowed to acquire the F-16 and Mirage 2000. This Taiwanese fighter could not even compete with the US and French rivals domestically. How could it beat them in an international market? Some analysts claim that Taiwan developed the F-CK-1 to give a message to the West. You could lose a big and profitable market. And it worked. The USA and France consented to sell their 4th-generation fighters. This claim might be the best answer as to why the F-CK-1 symbolizes the rise and decline of the Taiwanese aviation industry. In a possible war, this fighter jet can stall the mighty and vigorous dragons and prevent a naval invasion until the arrival of the cavalry. As we see, the F-CK-1 also had a crucial role in convincing the West to start selling modern weapons again to Taiwan. So, we may say that the F-CK-1 is not a superior combat aircraft, but it has done its job perfectly. Thanks for watching our video. And please don't forget to subscribe to our channel and click the bell button to be notified of our new videos. Also, you can now click the join button to support our channel. And as always, we would greatly appreciate all of your likes, comments and shares.